Nobody thought she'd ever speak, but today, Ava shattered everything we thought we knew. She entered the courtroom like a shadow, silent, trembling, almost unrecognizable. But when Ava Barron finally took the stand, what came next silenced the entire room. For years, she'd been a ghost in the periphery of one of hip-hop's most powerful empires. But today, she shattered the silence. With every word, Ava's voice grew stronger. She spoke of isolation, of manipulation, of being paraded around like a trophy, and then discarded without explanation. Her testimony wasn't just emotional, it was volcanic. A girl once dismissed as a footnote in Diddy's chaotic orbit now held the narrative in her own hands. Gasps rippled through the gallery as her statements unveiled years of what she called public performance, masking private harm. No one saw this coming. Not from her. The girl who once smiled nervously on a live stream now bore witness to something much darker. This wasn't just a court appearance, it was a reckoning. A truth buried for too long was finally breaking through, and Ava wasn't just speaking. She was naming names. She was introduced with a smile, but disappeared without a trace. Why? When Ava Barron first appeared on Diddy's Instagram Live, the world met her with a mix of confusion and curiosity. Introduced as a surprise adopted daughter, she stood awkwardly behind Quincy Brown and Justin Combs, smiling, silent, seemingly out of place. No explanation, no background, just there. She wasn't a celebrity, she wasn't an influencer, yet suddenly she was a part of the family. At least on camera. The internet buzzed for a few days. Who was she? Where did she come from? And then, nothing. Ava faded from the spotlight almost as quickly as she entered it. No interviews, no photos, no mentions. Just gone. Insiders say something always felt off. Her unease during that live stream, the lack of follow-up, the strange vibe between her and Diddy. People chalked it up to awkwardness, until now. Now, with Ava back in the headlines and testifying in court, that brief appearance feels less like a quirky moment and more like a breadcrumb we all missed. The girl who was once adopted on camera may have been hiding a much more disturbing reality. What looked like a feel-good moment now feels like a warning sign we all ignored. At the time, it seemed like just another chaotic celebrity moment. Diddy went live on Instagram, surrounded by his kids and party guests, grinning ear to ear. And then, he said it. "This is my new daughter. I just adopted her." Standing beside him was Ava Barron, quiet and visibly confused. Quincy Brown laughed, Justin cracked a joke, and the moment rolled on. Fans watched in real time as this unknown girl became part of hip-hop royalty, with no explanation or context. But watching it now, the clip feels eerily off. Diddy's tone was more forceful than funny. Ava barely spoke. Her smile looked plastered on. The moment everyone brushed off as quirky now screams of control, discomfort, and something deeply unsettling. Red flags flew, but nobody noticed. Or maybe we did, and just didn't want to believe it. In hindsight, that live stream wasn't a celebration. It was a warning. And the girl we all ignored, she remembers everything. And just like that, she vanished. No posts, no parties, just silence. After her bizarre on-camera adoption, Ava Barron seemed poised to become a permanent fixture in Diddy's world. But almost as quickly as she appeared, she disappeared. No family dinners, no red carpets, not even a birthday post. The girl who was paraded on livestream as part of the Combs inner circle went dark, online and in real life. For years, there were no photos, no mentions, no sightings. It was as if she'd been erased from the narrative entirely, and while many assumed she simply drifted away, those closest to the story are now saying something different. Ava didn't choose silence. It was forced. Sources close to Ava hint at a tightly controlled environment where speaking out was not an option. Her sudden absence wasn't just an escape, it was a disappearance. Now, with Ava finally resurfacing in court, her years of silence feel heavy with meaning. What was happening behind closed doors, and why was it so important to keep her quiet? He called her his daughter, but no court ever did. When Diddy introduced Ava Barron as his adopted daughter, millions believed it without question. Why wouldn't they? The livestream made it look official. Warm smiles, a proud announcement, even family hugs. But behind the scenes, there was no paperwork, no court filings, no legal trail. Ava was never formally adopted. Investigators have confirmed that despite public claims, there is zero legal documentation of an adoption ever taking place. Not in California, not in New York, not anywhere. This revelation casts a long shadow over the entire narrative. Why pretend? Why make such a public declaration if it wasn't real? And more importantly, what was Ava being brought into, if not a family? Some now believe the adoption was more about optics than love, a calculated move to create a persona, a bond, or a cover. But for Ava, the consequences were all too real. She was introduced as a daughter, but in the eyes of the law, she was just a girl, misrepresented, unprotected, and ultimately left behind. With the whole world watching, Ava looked straight ahead and started talking. The room was tense. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but every reporter present agreed. The moment Ava Barron opened her mouth, the energy shifted. This wasn't just testimony. This was a reckoning. Under oath, Ava described a world few could imagine, one hidden behind fame, wealth, and carefully curated Instagram posts. Her voice didn't shake. Her eyes didn't flinch. She detailed alleged emotional manipulation, isolation, and disturbing behavior not only from Diddy, but from his sons too. She spoke of being promised protection, then punished with silence, of being told she was family, but treated like a secret. She described nights filled with confusion, fear, and carefully orchestrated control. And perhaps most chillingly, she claimed the adoption was a lie, a staged performance to mask something far more sinister. Gasps echoed in the courtroom. Reporters scrambled to write it all down. Even seasoned lawyers looked shaken. But Ava kept going. This wasn't the scared girl from the live stream. This was a woman finally free to speak. And when she finished, one thing was clear. This story wasn't about a daughter being welcomed. It was about a girl being used. Locked rooms, loud music, no air, and a rule: never speak. Ava Barron described it like something out of a nightmare, except it was real. Inside Diddy's sprawling mansion, behind velvet ropes and tinted windows, a different world existed, a world of secrets, silence, and fear. She told the court about rooms that were always locked from the outside, blasting music that masked cries and confusion, parties that started late, ended later, and left her hollow. According to Ava, these weren't just celebrity gatherings. They were meticulously staged performances with an unspoken code: obey or disappear. She hinted at long nights filled with substances she couldn't name, people she didn't know, and rules she was forced to follow. No phones, no questions, no voice, she told the jury. What's worse, she said, was the isolation. Her mental health deteriorated under the pressure to smile on cue and stay silent off camera. The emotional toll was just as scarring as anything else. She wasn't there as a guest. She was there as a witness, trapped in a house built not just on fame, but on control. And now that she's speaking, those once closed doors are swinging wide open. She says they weren't just bystanders, they were part of it. In a revelation that rocked the courtroom, Ava named not only Diddy, but his sons, Justin and Christian Combs, as active players in her nightmare. According to her testimony, the brothers were present during some of the most troubling incidents. At times, they allegedly watched. Other times, she claimed, they participated. What hurt most, Ava said, was the betrayal. She had looked up to them, called them brothers, trusted them to protect her when things didn't feel right. But instead, she told the court, they helped keep the silence intact, and her trapped inside it. Their attorneys deny all claims, but the allegations have cast a dark cloud over the family image the Combs brothers have carefully cultivated. For Ava, though, the damage was done long before the cameras ever rolled. They knew, she said, and they did nothing. It wasn't just her word, it was proof, real, terrifying proof. When Ava stepped into court, she didn't come empty-handed. According to insiders, she brought what could be the most damning element of all: evidence. Sources close to the case say Ava has screenshots of messages, some cryptic, others disturbingly clear, whispered voice notes, secretly recorded videos. Proof, she claims, that everything she described really happened. While much of it remains sealed under court order, reports suggest that prosecutors have already reviewed parts of the material. And what they saw, one insider said, was hard to watch, impossible to ignore. The courtroom gasped when it was hinted that Ava had kept a digital diary, backed up, time-stamped, and distributed to lawyers before the trial even began. But there may be more. Rumors swirl of additional recordings, never released, possibly more explosive, that could surface as the case unfolds. Ava's silence, it turns out, was strategic. And now that she's speaking, she's not just telling a story, she's showing it. Same name, Same age, same face. Could Ava be the missing piece? It started on Reddit, then spread like wildfire. As Ava Baron's testimony gripped headlines, internet sleuths noticed something chilling. She bears an uncanny resemblance to a child who vanished nearly a decade ago. Ava Grace Baldwin. Ava Grace disappeared from Texas in 2015 when she was just 6 years old. Her photo remained on missing person sites for years. Now some believe she might have reappeared under a new name, at the center of a celebrity scandal no one saw coming. The timelines overlap, the age matches, the facial features, nearly identical, some say, and with no known records of Ava Baron's early life, the speculation is hard to ignore. Of course, nothing has been confirmed. Authorities have not linked Ava Baron to the missing child case, but the theory has struck a nerve, especially given the eerie parallels and the secrecy surrounding Ava's background. Is it just internet conspiracy? Or something darker that's been hiding in plain sight? What if Diddy wasn't the only one? What if this is just the start? As Ava's story unfolds, it's no longer just about one man, it's about an industry. Behind the closed doors of fame and wealth, whispers are growing louder. This could be bigger than Diddy. Ava's descriptions of elite parties, hidden cameras, and silent complicity echo rumors that have long haunted Hollywood. Insiders are now revisiting old allegations, brushed aside, buried, or paid off. What once seemed like tabloid gossip now feels like part of a larger, more sinister puzzle. Some say Ava's case is just the first domino. Her testimony hints at a culture of exploitation, where power shields the guilty and silences the vulnerable. The question isn't just who knew, it's who else was there. Names are being whispered. Eyes are on those who haven't spoken. And as the industry braces for what comes next, one thing is clear. This story has cracks in places no one wants exposed. She dropped a name nobody expected, Ashton Kutcher. Among the many twists in Ava Baron's court testimony, one name sent shockwaves through the room, Ashton Kutcher. Known for his tech ventures and outspoken activism against human trafficking, Kutcher has carefully cultivated a reputation as a Hollywood good guy. But according to Ava, he may have been closer to the world she described than anyone realized. She allegedly mentioned him in connection to party guest lists. Names circulated in private emails and text messages linked to events she claimed were anything but ordinary. No direct accusations were made, but the implication was enough to ignite public curiosity and concern. Kutcher's team has made no public comment. His name wasn't supposed to be part of this story, but now it is. Is this a misunderstanding? A name dropped unfairly? Or a crack in the carefully polished surface of an actor long seen as a protector, not a participant? Ava didn't say much, but what she did say might be just the beginning. The file everyone feared might be in Ava's hands. Rumors swirl about a so-called doomsday file, a collection of explosive evidence hidden away from public view. Screenshots, secret recordings, incriminating messages, and receipts that could unravel decades of deception. Ava Baron isn't just a witness. Insiders say she may be the gatekeeper of this terrifying trove. The contents could topple not only Diddy's carefully crafted empire, but ripple through the entire industry. What's in that file? Who else is implicated? And when will the world see it? The suspense is unbearable, but one thing's clear. The Doomsday File is no myth, and Ava holds the key. The Combs brand looked picture perfect, but Ava knew the truth. To the public, the Combs family was flawless, united, loving, unstoppable. But behind closed doors, Ava says she was nothing more than a prop in a well-rehearsed performance. She wasn't a daughter. She was an accessory, placed for image, discarded when inconvenient. I was never family, Ava told the court, her voice breaking the illusion. The shiny veneer cracks under the weight of her words, exposing the pain and betrayal she lived through in silence. Every publicist in Hollywood is sweating right now. Silence reigns among the stars and insiders as Ava's explosive testimony spreads. Careers hang in the balance. Powerful names tremble behind closed doors. No one knows who might be next, or what secrets will surface. The industry watches nervously, waiting for the next bombshell. After years of being silenced, Ava finally said, "No more." Ava's courage is undeniable. Despite fear and isolation, she stood up and spoke her truth, breaking a silence that once seemed unbreakable. Her bravery is a beacon, inspiring others trapped in darkness to find their voices. This is just the beginning. This isn't just a case, it's a mirror held up to power. Ava's story transcends one courtroom or one family. It's a demand for accountability across industries that thrive on secrecy and silence. Her voice is the start of a reckoning, one that challenges power and insists on protecting the vulnerable. What Ava exposed could bring down an empire, but what will you do with the truth? What do you think? Will Ava's testimony spark a wave of change or be silenced again? Comment below, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. The story is far from over.